Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the J&A Investments team. And today we have another new launch review in the house.
Called Aurea, and this is in the heart of District 7, near to Bugis Nicoll Highway area. And it's quite interesting because recently there are quite a few names that sound almost similar. The Aurea at Toa Payoh. Tampines, everyone called Aurea. Yeah, which is another EC. So I think they all really love this name. Maybe it give a tinge. And a fun fact, is actually known, in Latin, Aurea actually stands for golden.
Gold.
Yeah. So it's a family name, a Latin origin, and it's something that we see derived from the word aureus.
Because it's the previous Golden Mile complex. So I think that's where they got the inspiration for the name also.
Yes, indeed. And this is one of the latest project by Far East organization. The last one was being reserved, and now it's already 99.7% sold.
Yeah.
With 3 units left, the big units, the 4 and the 5 beta. So much further, let's jump deep into this analysis.
Yes.
All right, so before we start, we'd like to thank all our clients that have supported us over the past 7 years. Okay, currently it's over 722 investment clients, and this is something that we are very thankful for to have this opportunity. And currently, they have fetching returns of 19.56% for this sample size we're looking at. So if you'd like to find out more about the latest 2025 new launch update, do scan the QR code right below. And that's something that we hope to pass you this guide to guide you in this 2025 journey. At the same time, you'll find more about the walkaway price of this project, or in fact, any other projects you're analyzing in the market right now. Do scan the QR code right below also. And we are more than happy to share with you the analysis of each of the projects. Okay.
I just want to thank all our clients for taking the time to leave us a 5-star Google review also. And for all of you guys who are supporting us, that we've reached 16.1k subscribers on YouTube.
And okay, so let's run through the project today. Aurea. Okay, so this is a development that is done by 3 main groups: Perennial, Sino Group, and Far East organization. Okay, in fact, the site is about 13,000 square meter, pretty big. It's made of both commercial and residential. 1099 year, which is top up, okay, starting from 2024, 18 November. Yeah, so if you know the background of this developer, Perennial is actually quite well known to do a lot of luxury development, ranging from, recently there's one, the Alibaba Tower.
Yeah.
That's called Skywaters. It's 50 million in terms of price tag. They're done like Nova, Park Nova, and there's some of the units that have been sold, and people are looking at all this kind of unit considered luxury. Yeah, and for Sino Group and Far East organization, they are quite well known to do more of the, I would say, mass market and RCR property. The last being your resale residences, as mentioned at the start of this video. At the same time, they have done projects like Hill Haven.
Yep.
Okay, that is in Hillview area, followed by Holland Village residences, which have been fully sold out.
So I would say it's not a very big development, and they kind of split it up into 2 different ones, right? One is the prestige and one is the private one, with the prestige being on your penthouses, which you will see later on. I think they are more of like a whole new level that people probably don't buy these houses for investment. It's more for really our own stay perspective, really.
Yes. And in terms of some background of a developer, if you know about Far East, they are back then, 20 years ago, people have been commenting that the finishing quality have not been that great. But over the years,
They've improved.
They have improved. Yeah, so that's why they have managed to snack up like projects like Holland Village Residences, and that really gained revive in terms of the reputation. Okay, and meanwhile, for Perennial Group, on top of the Prestige collection, we also have medical suites, which is quite interesting, that's integrated in. And why they have medical suites is because, Perennial Group by itself, they're well known to actually have multiple projects that is linked to either assisted home care living, in Perry Avenue, and they are well known to be running medical suites across not Singapore but also overseas.
Yep.
All right, and let's jump into the location. Location-wise, if you look, it's actually quite near this Nicoll Highway MRT. Okay, about 5 minutes walk away. And right beside it is actually the other Golden Mile Tower, which actually tried to go through en bloc a few times but didn't really pass through, last being in 2023. Okay, so that's why for Aurea, it's actually Golden Mile Complex that actually succeeded.
Don't get confused, because both are trying to go through en bloc. Both didn't succeed a couple of times, but Golden Mile Complex succeeded first. So Golden Mile Tower maybe it could be an upcoming one.
Yes, and Golden Mile Tower is a pure commercial site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think an interesting fact about this development was that the previous development, Golden Mile Complex, was also a GLS, and I think it has become such an iconic building in Singapore that, the government say, hey, let's retain this, that That's why you'll be able to see that for the residential side, they did have an agreement. If you do retain the structure of the iconic site, which looks like a typewriter, they will allow you to increase the GFA for the residential side. So I think that was an agreement that the developer actually had with the government.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, this particular design was done by Deep Architect, very well known for doing this kind of iconic structure. That's why they were reappointed as architect for this particular project. And to further elaborate on what Grace has mentioned, because they have agreed to conserve this site, what they allow them to do is, you can see on the left-hand side, this red shop building, okay, they allow it to actually build to a 40-story tower, which originally the GFA could have been much lower, but they allow it to increase it, given the fact that they have to conserve this particular building, and because the structure itself is not very easy to preserve, and it's something that is not the easiest in terms of structure-wise.
If they make a classic building look modern in a way.
Yes, correct. And on top of that, they also were offered a small plot of land at the site, okay, which is the green plot over here, to have more usage. But what we see over here, if you look at the development, they didn't really take up this site because it's additional cost that incurred to buy the land. So there's something that it was given but not taken. Yeah. So in terms of location-wise, if you look into this, it's actually an ideal place. Yeah, in terms of location, next to Nicoll Highway, and if you go further down, it's actually Lavender. Okay, if you go further down Beach Road, you actually hit Bugis, which
it's
is
like
where,
you're near the town, but some people just don't, like, they want to live near the town because of connectivity, but they don't want to live in the CBD itself. Then this would be an area that they would probably look at.
Yes, and if you this is one of the few locations where you can always see the Kallang Basin. It's actually pretty unblocked view. If you buy those bigger size unit, and if you were to really narrow down into this place, it's a place filled with a lot of heritage. You still have HDB enclave nearby. You still have I would say like NTUC, those kind of HDB blocks that's right in front of you. In fact, if you talk about the development itself, you can see, okay, right in front of this development, okay, there are all the old HDB blocks that's about 16-story high. And you're right facing it for those that are smaller units. And one that bigger size unit will be facing the Kallang Basin.
So in terms of the breakdown for the percentages of the residential office, you can see here that majority of it is going to be offices at 48%. So that's almost half of the entire building. Residential, which is Aurea, is going to be about 30%. And of course, you have the retail side, 15%. You also have medical suites, as well as the architecture center, which is about 3%.
And also in terms of schools, within 1 km, we do not have any primary school. The nearest one is actually 2 km away, which Fair Park Primary and also St. Margaret Primary. Okay, other than that, most of it's very common to most of international schools and NAFA, which I would say is a pretty decent location since it's quite central in Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think for this development itself, the facilities are split across 3 levels because for it's not a very big plot of land for the residential side, and that's why they have to do it on multiple, which is quite common to see it being done in the CBD area. So you have your main facilities on level 3, level 17, as well as level 33.
And in terms of the stacks, okay, if you look at the site plan by itself, the bigger units 31 and 32, okay, actually faces towards the Kallang Basin. So yeah, unblocked view. So they actually purposely put this that way, while the smaller units actually faces towards the city area. And in terms of the breakdown of all this unit type, you'll notice that it's actually very heavily weight towards the 2-bedder and 3-bedder. The 2-bedders being 84, which is almost, I would say, close to 50% of the total development unit types. Okay, and then the 3-bedder, they actually only selected 28.
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting. And that's something that you find that maybe the demand for 2-bedder, be it looking at 2-bedder here, even young couple, or 3-bedder, or people are looking at a big floor plate. So you see later, very interesting. They did
because you don't really find like the regular kind of family staying in this area. You're either like, someone who's very young, you want like a bachelor house, right? You buy a small unit there, or you're someone that has reached a level where, I just want like a bungalow in the sky. That's why you have that 2 extreme. And then like the 3-bedder, I would say it's a lesser buyer profile in this area.
Yes, indeed. All right.
And I think one thing to also note is the
sorry, one timer.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Next.
I think one thing to know is the MCSC fee. We would thought it would be pretty high, especially for developments in the CBD area or in the CCR region usually, but it seems like, their 2-beders are about 432, which is on par with, I would say, some of the OCR projects in recent
or the
times.
3 to so some 4-bedder or 3-bedders.
Yeah.
In fact, my guess is why they make it slightly lower is potentially they may want to charge maintenance fee higher to those that are in the offices or medical suites, which are the commercial side, which in this place is actually known as a place with lots of shop houses nearby.
Yep.
They have a lot of TCM shops, a lot of I would say medical shops. That by itself, it does have a unique crowd that they believe for perennial group may draw a new crowd of people who are looking at medical officers. So this likely the maintenance fee may charge more towards the commercial side.
Okay, so let's take a look at the entry price analysis. We do have the starting already, and it's starting from 2750, which is almost a RCR pricing.
Yes.
But of course, it's starting from lah.
Yep.
So normally for average, you would add another let's say 200 per square feet to it.
And also one thing to take note is the way they price to it is very interesting because you notice, although the PSI is very vastly different, 2,007 to 3,000, but the quantum they're starting with is about the same. If you look at the layout later on, you find out the reason why is because the layout almost the same. One is dumbbell, the other is convention layout. That's why they play on the quantum to be about similar, with all similar facing. Then we have the 3-bedder 1,001 square feet that is about 2.86 million, followed by that is 4-bedder is about 4.27 million for the smaller 4-bedder, and the bigger one will be over 5.24 million.
Yep.
Yeah. And the 5-bedder price is currently unknown. I believe it will be something that is a very high price, which we will explain why in this area is very unique. There is kind of phenomenal. Right.
So I think comparing with this price, why developer will also price it, I would say this way, because when you compare to, let's say, the launches that have been launched today, RCR, you're already at like a 2.6 average, and CCR is about 3,001. So starting price definitely, if you look at it, is definitely attractive. But from an investment point of view, you have to kind of think, say, if it's not own stay, if it's own stay, it's perfect because, get in something that's reasonable and you're going to hold it out for a longer period of time. But for investment, that's something that we see. Is it something that you can exit in, let's say, 3 years with a good profit, or it's something, or there are some other developments that you can actually consider?
Yes, indeed. All right. So also one thing that we want to benchmark against is those have recently TOP in terms of CCR projects like Copper and Newton, which is about 2.6 on average up to 2008. We have 4th end residences, and all the way Bukit Timah area is about 2,658 per square feet, W27. The M about 2,755. Okay, Woolwich by itself is a whole new breed by itself, so I won't really account for it. 2009. Cascading is somewhere 99 years. Like boutique development, all the way Orchard Boulevard, also about 3,000 per square feet. And South Beach, same thing. It's nearby at Bugis, but I would say it's another high luxury development that the quantum can go to 7.66 million, and this is another grade that I would guess it may compare to the 5-bedder in this unit if they want to do it that way.
Yeah. So looking at the resale comparison, something that's around this area, we have Concourse Skyline as well as City Gate. Both age gap is about 10 to 15 years ago.
Unit size is also about 311 units for City Gates and 360. So I would say pretty similar in terms of, and it's all high rise.
So I think D7 itself, right? Last time it was considered like RCR. And then part of it or part of D7 is then categorized from by the developer to be under the CCR also.
Yes, so it's something that's so interesting because like for Bugis wise, okay, there is equivalent CCR. But Nicoll Highway, D7 is like CCR, but like the fringe of CCR. So it's closer towards RCR region. So there's something that they have this very blurred line that we have to take into consideration for valuation. So let's take a look at how this performed for both Concourse Skyline and Citygate. You can see in the past, I would say 10 years, it has been pretty, I would say, slow in terms of growth. Stagnant.
Yeah.
Only recently in 2020, it started to have an increase in price. But if you buy as a new launch back then and sell upon TOP, honestly, the price-wise is almost similar. So it's one of those that doesn't have that kind of price growth, but I'll share with you why later on. Okay. And also, we also start to compare with other
slightly further,
and all the way down to Kallang Riverside, a freehold development at Kampong Bugis near to Lavender area, so it's freehold. And we also have another development called Dual Residence, which is all the way at Bugis area. I would consider even in common CCR, that's the core central. And then we have City Lights, with something that's very old, 21 years old, next to Lavender MRT. So these are direct comparative that surrounds your Golden Mile complex. And very interesting, if you notice, the district, although this is D7, but once you start comparing out, we notice there's D12, which is like, RCR.
Then there's D8.
Then D8, there's like, just one street across.
But it's like, you're not like 5 kilometers away. You're kind of like surrounding each other.
Yes. But I guess the closest comparative you want to do is maybe dual residence, which is all at D7.
So if let's say the per square feet average for Aurea is going to be about 3,000, compare it to the resale around this area, Dual Galleria, it's going to be about 2,169, which is dual residence.
Yep.
Kallang Riverside is about 2,341, and then your City Lights at 1,879.
Yes. So let's run through each of the resale condo to compare to see is it worth in terms of purchasing into your Aurea. So first up, we have Concourse Skyline. It's actually right opposite Nicoll Highway, very close proximity, 4-5 minutes walk away from your Aurea. It's a 99-year, considered D7 Kallang area, 360 units, and currently PSF about 1,009 per square feet.
Yep.
Yeah, so one thing people say, 1,009 is so cheap. But one thing that people do not notice is Concourse Skyline has very huge floor plate, which compensate and cause it to be in the 2 million range just for a two-bedder, which is 1,173.
Yeah, and one fun fact is also that the developer has been holding some of the units for rental for some time, which some developers do when they cannot sell it during launch day. And actually, I think last year that's when they gave discount to some of these units also.
Yep. And one thing why they have this problem selling is, of course, the quantum. The price, although PSA can be cheap, but there's always something like a value trap, especially in CBD area. They like the bigger floor plate areas. And that's when you multiply by the lower per square. It seems cheap, but even the quantum by itself does not justify it. So let's run through accordingly. And you can see in terms of the returns, it's not the most ideal. Some for 209 hold till today, almost 15 years, make 500K. Which is about 3% annualized return per annum. And it's the highest, one of the highest already. The rest about 0.9% per annum. There's one at 6.4%, but that's the only anomaly out of all.
Yeah.
So these are some things that you need to take note about this development.
And then it doesn't include all the losses that people have also.
Yes, so you see losses wise, you can see, I would say not too like 1 million kind of loss, not too bad. But at the same time, it's also not great either. To fact that
opportunity cost.
Yeah. Okay, so let's explain why Concourse Sky had this particular phenomenon. Okay, one thing as I mentioned is about the quantum, the price, the total price tag. So you can see the 1173 itself is called one bedroom plus study.
Today it's like 3 plus study. So you may think, okay, maybe a 3 compact. No, it's not a 2 plus study, it's a 1 plus study.
Yes, and it's 1,700 square feet. And in branded this way, right? It could be a 2-bed, 2-bath, they could have done that way, but you see a study, which is open this up into to extend a living area and a master bedroom. It makes you feel like I'm buying a 1 plus study for 2.3 million. It's
a quantum problem here.
Yeah, quantum problem. But if you really want to make it more apple-to-apple comparative, then we have to include this layout because you can see this study can really become a fully functional room, a 2-bed and a 2-bath. And with enclosed kitchen and with storm. So this itself, even with that, it's going at 2.3 million, about 1,009 per square feet. Okay, in comparison, if you look at the 2-bed layout, for Aurea, 635, 646, and 710. Okay, one thing to take note is that it's actually pretty similar. 635 and 646 is really a dumbbell layout, just that one have a narrower, longer kitchen, the other is a wider kitchen and a wider living area. So I would say pretty similar. So quantum-wise, you notice it's almost, I would say, about the same price.
Yeah. So I think 710, the benefit of it is that the living area may be slightly bigger because for the 635 and 646, yes, you do have the space, but because of the way the rooms are being located on both ends, right, you can't really put anything like, so you'll be basically blocking the entrance. But dining space for 646 will be slightly bigger.
Yes, and one more thing to take note is there's also a very slightly longer walkway over here, which there's a little bit of inefficiency usage of space.
They should have just placed this walkway to be part of like the living area.
Yes, they may be better, but maybe restricted by the site plan. And one more thing to take note, when you compare this to Concourse Sky, then in terms of quantum wise and so usability of space, potentially it could be pretty similar when it's 300k cheaper, which presents a 2-bedder, I would say, at a compared age as compared to Concourse Sky, which sadly to say, may have to wait a bit longer before the price can go up. Yeah, so that's one thing to take note.
Correct, because for the ones at Aurea, you must notice that they don't have any balcony. So the sizes are really like purely internal space. But for Concourse, you have your balcony, you even have a planter, and your planter stretches all the way across your master bedroom and study.
Yes, right. So next, let's take a look at the 3-bedder for Concourse Skyline. The price over here is about 3.15 million, okay, with a pretty big balcony. And this study, once again, that is, it looks like a study, but it's actually a 3rd bedroom. That's why the 1442 square feet is pretty huge. Okay, and also include bay window, which is mentioned over here, aircon latch along with the home shelter over here. Yeah, so when it comes to this, it's known as a 2 bedroom plus study. And if you really look at the living area, to be very honest, this layout is actually not the best because the living area for 3 beds should be much bigger, but it's pretty small.
Yeah.
In contrast, you can see something more efficient layout for Aurea compared to Condo Skyline, relative to Condo Skyline. 1001 square feet, but living area is much more.
And they don't have
bigger.
balcony. So I think it's either you like it or you don't. Because some people like balcony, right? But if some people that really they don't use the balcony, then this will be very ideal because the internal space is 3.25 meters by 7.6 meters, which is very, very big for a 3-bedder.
Yes. All right. And next up, let's take a look at Citygate. Okay, so you have Condo Sky that does show that it's actually cheap.
Yeah.
Citygate on the other hand is very interesting. It becomes a comparative with 311 units, 700 square meter of land. Also quite new, just recently TOP about 2018 period. And if you look at the price transacted, the 1-bedder, okay, is 180k. The 2-bedder is 1.52 million. And you have the 3-bedder, I would say 904 square feet to 106 square feet. 904 square feet going at close to about 1.78 million. Okay. And in terms of the returns wise, you can see Citygate also didn't perform as well if you buy as a new launch. Okay, back then 2014, 2015, they hold all the way to today, it's about 260k for a 2-bedder. 1-bedder is one of them after holding 8 years only made 15k, not the best. And for the 3-bedder, if you look at the 904 square feet, only made 182k after holding for 9 years. So I would say one reason why this could be the case is back then when they launched the price, 2007, it's way above that of the RCR market prices or CCR market price. It was a new CCR area. People were hyping about it, new transformation. But when it comes to exiting the market, people don't see that way. Right? And on the other hand, there's also 4 unprofitable transactions with minimal losses. Okay. So let's compare to the layout type. Okay. So Grace, can you bring us through?
So I think for Citygate, the main problem would also be the layout because it's actually a dual key layout. And I think it's more for investors as well as for rental, right? It's like gem residence triple key. The rental is very strong. But when it comes to exiting, the liquidity is going to be a problem because not many people want to live inside this kind of units. It's really like investors just milking the rental. That's why when you compare to Aurea, I think it's a very different kind of product. One is like you can own stay inside, but one is unless you really go and hack down the walls lah.
Yes. And also one thing to know about Citygate, okay, by itself, if you look at the front, it's actually blocked by the plaza. So all the units are actually facing towards another development.
Yeah.
As compared to Aurea, it's actually facing towards the HDB block for the 2-bedders that is unblocked after 16th floor above. So at least there's still some city view and not exactly fully blocked, right? And also for the 3-bedroom, for the Citygate
also dual key.
Dual key. And this really does affect the price matrix a little bit. 904 square feet. Because with dual key layout, you don't have the efficiency of a kitchen where you can do enclosed kitchen, something more functional, more acceptable by the public. Yeah, so when you look at this, at 1.78 million, 1969 per square feet, it may seem cheap PSF, but when exit in the market, people may not have the demand. They have demand want to buy into this.
And it's not a very regular shape for the rooms as well as the balcony. I think because last time they tried to do like award-winning from the exterior, right? So because of how the exterior looks, the inside becomes a bit weird. But people really just prefer something to be on, like, for example, Aurea that's just squarish and rectangular so that the space is really effective.
Yes. Okay, another thing to take note is about the balcony space for Citygates. Okay, 904 square feet has a balcony in the master bedroom, the living, and
There's
also...
a lot of balcony.
Yeah, there's a balcony. And the only saving grace is there is a loft for bedroom 1 and bedroom 2 that is extended because of the slightly higher ceiling.
It's also, you either like it or you don't, because it can make a room seems quite tight also.
Correct. Yeah. So that's one to take note. And that's why the quantum wise, 1.78 million versus the 2.9, I won't say it's apple to apple comparative over here.
Yeah, I think that in this kind of areas, what we realize is that actually layout is very important. Like regardless of your quantum, your pricing, if your layout is weird, it's going to be very hard to exit.
Correct. And especially so in CCR or D7 where people really value the space and value a kind of city living and lifestyle. All right. And next, we have the last layout. 4-bedder, you can see is
looks like a boat.
Like a boat. Yes. Like a gun also that's inverted upwards. So basically 1604 square feet, huge, 3.26 million. This layout is actually much better, okay? But even in terms of the quantum wise, right, okay, it's about 3.26. I would say very decent as compared to that of your Aurea with 1442. But one thing that this layout type, which is done much better, is it's more squarish, more regular, and something that even have a private lift that helps to give that luxury feeling when you pay for a 4+ million quantum kind of property. So next, we have Garland Riverside. Garden Riverside is a very interesting
Very
product.
unique. You'll
Very
see that
unique.
it's like standalone and there
Yes.
is no neighbors beside it.
Correct. All
For now,
empty
for
plot for
now.
now. Yeah, so it's actually located near the Lavender, a freehold plot. And if you know the backstory of Garden Riverside, it was actually bought by a Chinese developer a long, long time ago and holding the land as freehold, very rare family land, and they decided to redevelop into this Garden Riverside.
Yeah.
So in terms of the units, okay, the price wise, the 2-bedder are ranging about 2.15 million. Okay, the 3-bedder range about 3.3 million. And in terms of capital gain, you can see also the profit margin is not that great. It's a lot of them are going at the 0 point something percent annualized return.
Yeah.
Even after holding for close to 6 years, only make 8,000 for this guy.
Seems like all the resale here, they don't really do very well.
Yes. So one reason potentially why all this we are not doing as well is the layout problem. You can see it's either too small, very compact, very inefficient like that, or Citygate, or you have something like Concourse Sky that's very huge, giant. And same with Garden Riverside, the same thing, 1033 square feet. It could be a 3-bedder size, more efficient, but it became a 2-bedder. That's why in terms of quantum and with a launch price that is actually pretty high, 2,000 per square feet, back then in 2018, this could be when RCR could be going at 1,000, 4,005. It's really selling at a premium price. So this actually affects the entire exit strategy for this area. Now let's take a look at a 2-bed, 2-bath layout for Garden Riverside. You'll notice 958 square feet is pretty huge for 2-bedder. And you can see most of the space comes in the balcony. And yes, a bigger master bedroom and a bedroom too. And this faces towards the city and it's going at 2.4 million. Yeah, so in contrast, if you look at the 2 million range on average for Aurea, once again, this itself does present a little bit of a contrast.
Like if someone has a limited budget and they want to enter the CCR of a unit over here, at 2 million, there's not many choices.
Yes. Yeah, so it does give that 400k of buffer. On the other hand, in terms of the 3-bedder, there are two kinds of layout. One is actually a 2-bedroom plus study. This bedroom 3 is actually pretty small. It's more like a study than a bedroom. Can barely fit a single size bed. You have an enclosed kitchen. It usually transacts at 2.95 million. So if you compare this layout versus the Aurea, I guess it's actually pretty similar quantum at 2.5, and you get something brand new that is at Nicoll Highway as compared to that of Kallang area that's freehold. And next up, we have the typical 3-bedder, which is bigger in size for the Kallang Riverside. 1432 square feet. They actually name it as dual key in their floor plan because if you look at it here, the foyer, although it's a normal 3-bedder, you can actually convert it to dual key. Yeah, you have a big master bedroom over here, followed by this. And actually, one of my friends actually owned a unit there.
Yep.
I went to his house where they were studying. My one of my colleagues, in fact, studying for RES. We actually go in and really had a good chat inside. And what we noticed is this layout is very interesting because the kitchen area over here, when you walk into the second
it's an open concept for a 3-bedder.
For a 3-bedder.
Something that's not conventional.
Not conventional. And you don't have very much space to put a dining area. So that actually creates a little more unique kind of layout type, which people may, I would say, have some hesitation to accept. But nonetheless, in terms of PSF wise, 2003 at 3.3 million, is something that has been transacted in the market. Okay, as compared to that of Aurea, 1,000 square feet unit is about 2.95 million. There is a 99-year at Nicoll Highway area compared to Kallang Riverside. Once again, it had that buffer, about 400k difference.
Okay, so let's look at dual residence next. Average per square feet is going to be about 2,002. So look at the transactions that we have. They ranges from about 2,001 to about 2,003 depending on the unit type also.
Yes.
So again, profitable and unprofitable transactions, quite similar to all the transactions that we've seen previously. Profitable, not too well because you bought in 2013, you hold for 10 years and you make like 91,000, 100 plus thousand. And then you have a whole lot of unprofitable transactions also.
Yes.
So I think in the past developments over here, they are being very overhyped. So that's also the reason why when you enter into something, right, it's not always correct to follow the hype because there is a certain way that developer can market a development. But when it comes to the resale, is the resale market willing to pay this premium that you're paying during launch or not?
Yes, indeed. In fact, dual resi back then when it was like overhyped, it was because they were sharing the Bugis transformation story. Things that come in, the new township, the midtown model, a lot of white sites coming up. So sometimes when this affected into the future hype, people will be believing that, wow, this is a new place. I'm going to buy into this new idea. But when it comes to exiting, and with the PSF being similarly cheap, but the quantum not being cheap later on, that actually hamper the growth of such areas.
Correct.
Yeah, and if you look at the layout over here, once again, it's also another layout problem. Very big balcony, 1,012 square feet, a 2-bedder, which is very huge, along with a bit of curved area, which is very dual. It's actually quite iconic Okay, done by M+S, Malaysia-Singapore partnership. So you look at the 2-bed, 2-bath, the big content is a mix it, the price being at 2.18 million. Even back then at 2 million plus, it was actually way above the RCR 2-bedder quantum average for a new launch. Okay, and right now, when compared to something that's brand new, dual resi is one compared to Aurea, 635, 646, 710 square feet, about 2 million. Once again, the content's about the same for something of equivalent of something that is similar in the functionality.
Yep. So I think moving on to the 3-bedders, right, you will see that the quantum gap is also quite big. Again, it's a very big 3-bedder at 1,722 square feet per door. And Aurea is just a no-fill 3-bedder with no balcony at 2.9 million.
Yeah. So this is something that Aurea done right. The layout type and the quantum, you can see this is 2022, long time ago. So it's a 1 million quantum difference.
Okay, so the last condo we'll look at is City Lights that completed in 2007. Average pricing is going to be about 1,009 and it's a 99-year-old development. So you will see historical transactions, they ranges from about 1,007-ish to about 2,001. And in terms of profitability, you can see here is much better than as compared to the previous resale developments that we've seen here. A lot more profitable transactions as compared to the unprofitable ones. Then you will see 1,421 square feet, a bigger unit type, bought in 2021, exit 2025, and made about 570K. If not, 678, which is a 1-bedder. Bought in 2006, exited 2025, made 700, which is not too bad, but holding period within about almost close to 20 years. Okay, so looking at the layout type, 893 square feet, this is going to be a 2-bed, 2-bath. Okay, and this comes with kitchen and your utility. Your quantum is going to be about 1.78. Okay, as compared to, let's say, Aurea, that's going to be about 2 million. So I think the good thing about this area is that your older resales are not very ideal because of their size, because they're quite old and the size is quite big. So it makes the quantum game pretty good for Aurea.
Yeah, and for 20 years difference, I would say the quantum about 200K. I would say makes Aurea, if you present it at a more functional layout, it's something brand new, 20 years newer, it does put it at a better light. And for say like 3-bedder, if you look at it, 142 square feet is huge, but at least the living room and the bedroom size
is effective. No weird spaces.
No weird spaces. So it clears. That's why the past 5 years there have been bull run in the market to allow the price of city lights to go up quite a bit.
Yeah.
At 2.53 million today, at 20 years old, as compared to that of Aurea, it's about 1,001 square feet at 2.95. I would say it's quite reasonable in this comparison. Okay, last but not least, we have the 4-bedder at City Lights, okay? Close to 2,000 square feet, 3 million, transacted at 31st May 2024. In contrast with Aurea, brand new, 1,442 square feet with private lift, about 4.253 million. And these two it is a very different kind of development. One is very luxurious, Aurea, at really by Perennial Group. One is really I would say a more mass market condo next to Levin MRT. So the 4-bedder in that contrast, exit group will be very, very different.
So let's look at some of the upcoming land bids in this area. There are no direct GLS yet, but there are certain buildings that I would say that are trying to go through the en bloc, haven't been successful, but they're in the midst. So same thing for Golden Mile Tower, which is beside Golden Mile Complex. You know, the government did say that, you know, if you do preserve the cinema block, I'm going to give you like certain advantage, like your increased GFA for the resi side. And then also there's also Sultan Plaza that's also going through the collective sale.
Okay, there's also another development called Textile Center, which is right beside this Sultan Plaza. And they went through en bloc recently. They also sold the car park at this area. And if that were to go through en bloc, it would be another benchmark. But one thing to note is because Textile Center, a huge percentage is actually owned by a certain entity that is actually in the midst of, I would say, blocking the en bloc. So that's something that prevents it to pass through as easily. So that's one thing to take note.
Okay, then upcoming, of course, I think previously there were a lot of sites around the Kampong Bugis and they were white sites.
Yes.
They were supposed to go on GLS, but then because of the soil, they had to do something to it, right? And then they have to remove it from them. But it's actually being, I would say, planned for residential.
Yes. Right. So white side is not, I mean, it can be residential or can be an office. Yeah, so there's something to stay tuned to. And this is actually next to Kallang Riverside. Okay, and the 6 new sites is actually surrounding Kallang Riverside. So in the future, this particular new site may be blocked, especially when there's a construction that is coming out right in front of this development.
So now it's unblocked, but upcoming there could be a lot of construction around it.
Yes, indeed. Right. So with this, we come to the end of this video. I hope they enjoy this detailed analysis ranging from resale all the way to what is coming up around the area. And most importantly, we need to decide, do we buy, wait or avoid for this development? Right, so let's say, okay, this development is launching about 3,003 per square feet. 3,000 per square feet. In this area, was I say average about 3,001. It could go up about 3,200 to 3,340, the mid to high floor unit. Would you consider buying, waiting, or avoiding this unit? Okay, so let's do this. Okay, all right. So 3, 2, 1.
Avoid.
Okay, so I avoid.
Okay, personally, if it's on stay, I think the quantum is very good. I think it's something reasonable that you can exit if you want to stay or hold for a longer term. But from a pure investment point of view, I always feel like because of the per square feet in CCR, you can always get a bigger unit. Let's say, if you're going to go for 2 beta, you could probably get like a 3 beta in the OCR. And I feel like investment-wise, because of the size, it's going to be an easier exit in other areas as compared to buying the CCR, if it's just for pure investment.
Okay, so for 3.3, this pricing is really setting the new benchmark of CCR market. And if there's no new limit come out around the area, you are actually capped. And there could be other opportunities in the market that can fetch much higher prices. And the key thing is, there's always this thing called walkaway price. Not saying that every single unit can be bought, but the key thing is, for a slightly small development, getting this kind of high prices, you may end up being locked in for a very long time for liquidity, unless you are able to find a buyer that really loves CCR market, this particular unit type, and willing to pay a premium for it.
I think the demand in this area from the local market is not as strong.
Yes.
That's why you can also see the way the developer built, right? It's like they either build like very big kind of units that buyers who have this budget would like to buy, but they usually buy brand new because they can afford to.
Yes.
So sometimes when it comes to the resale market, your demand from a secondary buyer is not there.
And on the other hand, the smaller unit types, you can see, is catered more towards someone who is younger, who wants to stay in CCR, someone who may don't have kids and just want to be near the offices.
Yeah.
So this is really something that the developer has crafted very specifically to target these two group of people. Yes. And with this, we come to the end of this video. You'd like to find out more about the upcoming new launches, the new launch list. Okay, do scan the QR code right below, and we have all the updates of the upcoming new launches and what we can take note of.
Yep. And if you're someone in the market looking for your next property investment, or you just want to speak to someone to see how you can restructure your current portfolio, you can also reach out to our WhatsApp group and we'll have someone contact you. So that we'll see you the next time. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.